Welcome, everyone, to the Lansing Catholic Podcast. I'm Father Joe.
And I'm Mr. Stolpa, Dean of Intellectual Formation. Father, you forgot to give your title.
Oh, I'm the chaplain.
Okay. Well, we got to make sure everyone knows.
And we have a special guest on the show today, Mr. Tom Maloney. Thanks for coming on the show today.
It's great to be here. Always good to be back at Lansing Catholic High School, and fond memories of sitting here in the chaplain's office.
What was this office before when you were here?
Well, when I was teaching and principaling, it was a chaplain's office.
Okay.
When I was a student, it was a counselor office.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Painting is the same. The weird beige that we have going on in here.
That is the institutional beige that
I don't think we can call
fondly,
it that.
Yeah.
But
No, we did
confessional beige, I think, is the
beige.
official name for it.
We have updated it. This was definitely an upgrade since I was a student, but this is very similar to when I was here as the principal and president.
So we just had a big event last night, the Father Mac dinner. That was the 40th year that event has happened, right?
That's correct.
And at that event, we give out several awards. One of them you received, the Mission Award for Tradition. So, well, we're just going to go into the interview.
Well, I don't know, Father, what you doing here? No, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Because I have a lot of questions.
All right, fine. Well, we'll get to that later, but we're lucky to have Tom
Preview
on
of coming
the show.
attractions
Yes.
for everybody, so don't turn off yet.
So we'll start with just a few updates about things going on this week. Memorial Day is Monday, so we're certainly grateful for all those who have died serving our country, and I'll be offering Mass today for the repose of their souls. Enjoy the day off, everyone. We don't have school that day. And then Friday, May 31st, is our last day of classes, so we have an all-school Mass in the gym at the end of the day. And what else happens at that Mass?
So after Mass, well, a lot of stuff happens at Mass, Father, but you're in charge of that. So afterwards, we have the undergrad awards. So stay in your seats, children, and we will pass out awards for all of the classes that you have won awards for. So that'll be exciting. Did you ever win an award, Father, for academics?
Well, I was homeschooled.
So you won all the awards.
I mean, my mom thinks I'm great.
Principal's award every year.
Best
Favorite
kid
student.
in my class
Every
every year.
kid.
What was your rank? Number one?
Number one.
every time.
First and last.
Yes. So no,
Indeed, those who are last shall be first.
yeah.
You were
well,
both.
there are all kinds of things that I didn't have since I didn't go to a traditional school. And so sometimes kids are getting real worked up about these things, or their parents are. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, I did not get any of this stuff. And you know what? Life goes on. It's not that big of a deal.
Like what? What did you not get? That
Well,
other
like
people
undergrad awards. I didn't have a graduation party.
You didn't?
My diploma was basically handmade because, like, no one will give you that stuff if you're a homeschooler. 'Cause
Was
you're
it
just
made
doing
from the farm sheepskin?
No, it was printed off on a nice piece of cardstock with my mom's signature, and because that's.
Was there a ceremony?
Well, I attended a homeschool co-op, and they did have a graduation ceremony. So this is actually kind of a funny story. I went to the graduation ceremony, and they handed me a diploma, and I was like, oh, this is great, like an official diploma. And I open it, and it's blank. It was just a prop, right? I was like, what? All this stuff. It's
like the ones we
completely
give out.
made
I was
up.
going to say, that's what we do here.
Then I go to college, and this is like a big university.
A real college, right? Not a homeschool college?
Yeah, University of St. Thomas in Minnesota. Very expensive, like $40,000 a year for tuition. So I was like, all right, well, this time it's going to be legit. So I do the whole graduation ceremony, walk across stage, shake the Archbishop's hand. I go back to my seat and open it, and it's blank. I was like, what? All of these things are fake. They don't do real diplomas, but that's just how it goes.
That's
So
just
wait a
how it
minute.
goes.
What, did you get a real diploma?
Yeah, after I
'Cause
paid
mine
my
was a real
last
diploma.
after I paid my last tuition
Yeah,
check or
you got it in
whatever.
the mail, right?
Yeah, it came in the mail like
Yeah.
a month later.
Oh, yeah.
This seems a bit fishy.
Oh, no. That's how
I got
That's how it
mine right
goes.
there. But I went to a real college. I went to Marquette. So.
University of St. Thomas is a real college. It's highly reputable.
It is.
It's actually true. I think I know some people who teach there. So.
So anyways, the year is wrapping up. Things are quieting down, and pretty soon it's going to be summertime.
Who is hoping for the year to end more, the students or the faculty and staff?
So I've heard many things from both of them who just said, let's just call it a year. Like, we've all learned all we can learn, and let's just see how many snow days we have left and see if we can just snow week it out.
Yeah, this 31st year of being working in Catholic schools, and never have gotten used to May.
Yeah.
May is the month that so much happens.
Yes.
And so many highs, right? So many great things happening, but also just the challenges that come along with the busyness of the schedule, but just managing all the different things. And because you're approaching the end of something, that makes some things anxious for people, and that's where we have some challenges.
As the superintendent now, Father, we're just going to go right in the mailbag.
Sure.
Not a mailbag.
The interview.
As a superintendent now, do you find summers are not as exciting as they used to be when you were a teacher, or is it still a little downtime for you in the Office of Catholic Schools?
Yeah, summer is a huge time for planning for us, and what I found at the diocesan level with the 36 schools across the 10 counties, don't even get the time like during May and even early June to do the planning for our meetings that start at the end of July and August. So summer's very busy, and you couple that with if we have principals to hire, right?
Yep.
We're not directly involved in hiring teachers. The local schools do that. But if we have principals to hire, then our office is directly involved in that. A couple of years ago, there were 7. And so that made
one summer?
Yep, that made a very busy summer. This year, we're going to welcome 3 new principals, and they are all hired at this point.
That is fantastic.
That's fantastic.
So as far as you know, there are no principal openings at this time.
I, as far as I know, Chris, and then you're making me say that out loud, and that's right. But yes,
No. We're not jinxing it or anything like
That's right.
that. We're just trying.
That's right.
So I want to get back to last night. You gave a wonderful speech at the Father Mac dinner.
Oh, thank you.
And you said Dominic Iocco, our president, called you, and you realized halfway through that it was that call. And then you had made that call 15 times-ish in your career.
That's right.
Are there any of those calls that you really remember as the people you were really excited about honoring, and you were maybe even a little nervous because you held somebody in such high esteem?
Well, I think any time I called the priests, that was always a wonderful moment, but also always a little nervous about how they would respond. But most of those calls, holding them in high esteem for what they committed just in their their priestly vocation first and foremost, and then what they did above and beyond with our school communities. So those ones were, I was hoping not to screw that up, right? To send the right message that make sure they understood how much we really want to honor them. And so those ones. And then, a lot of the parents that received the award over the years, I knew quite well. I knew because either maybe they had kids that were my age that we went up to through school with, like Sam and Judy Ide, or kids that I coached and taught, like the deans and the Colliars. So those ones were fun. Those were just really exciting to be able to call them up and give that good news and just help them understand how much we appreciate them.
Did Bishop Carl Mengling receive one of those awards?
He
over the
did.
years? Were you the one that called him?
Yes.
How did that go?
Oh, great. Love the man. Yeah, and we were concerned back when we gave him the award that his health was not well, that he wasn't doing well. So we got to make sure we give him this award that he so much deserves. And that was several years ago now that he got the award. And oh my goodness, just like I mentioned at the talk last night, any interaction with Bishop Mengling, you were going to get an earful, and you never knew exactly what angle he was going to come at you with.
Yeah.
But it was going to be passionate,
Yep.
And it was going to be fun.
So he lives nearby us at St. Gerard, and so sometimes he will just show up unannounced at the rectory, and it's always a good time.
What is he looking for? Something? Just someone to hang out with? What is he?
One time he was stopping by to drop off a little letter or a note for Father Bob or something like that. Another time we'd invited him for a dinner, and he came, and but yeah, he's delightful.
He sends me things in the mail now once in a while,
Yeah.
and they're thick packets of scripture quotes
Yes.
and different thoughts on different topics.
Yeah, I think he's 94, or he's
think
at
you're right.
least he's in his 90s,
Yeah.
and still sharp as a tack. And whenever he's around and like just chatting, you can tell he's still very much aware of things going on in the world and in the church, and has all kinds of opinions on things. And he's great.
So
is
you
great.
graduated from Lansing Catholic in '88,
That's right.
and you started here in '93. Started teaching here?
That's right.
What was it about Lansing Catholic that, one, made you excited to go here, and then two, so excited that you came back? And as you said in the talk last night, this is your dream, highly paid job.
As I said last night, I truly think it was a blessing that I was here for 6 years. So we had 7th and 8th grade here at the time.
Okay, I was worried there when you said you were here for 6 years.
That's right. It was the best high school, the best 6 years of my life.
People become doctors in that amount of
That's
time.
right. That's right. That's right. And my class, we were the last 7th grade here, the last 8th grade here, and then, of course, 9th grade. So for 3 years running, we were the youngest kids in the school. And so I got pushed in lots of lockers.
We'll exchange stories on that at
mainly
some
by
point,
my
Tom.
2 older brothers
Yep,
and their friends.
100%.
Right? Yeah. For most, I was recounting this last night a little bit, but if I was here 6 years, probably for at least 4 of those years, my name was simply Little Maloney.
Little Maloney.
That's all that they would call me, Little Maloney. But in those formative years, right? I mean, as junior high kids, right? We have no idea who we are, what we're trying to do. But to be surrounded by this community at the high school with, like I said, those 30-year teacher and coaches that I so admired, they just helped me kind of figure out my identity. And I grew up a lot in those 6 years.
Yeah.
I know everyone does, but even physically, I think I grew like 8 inches in my time here. And just to be surrounded by such a strong faith community, a supportive community, coupled with my family, my big family, this was my second home. Kids have cell phones now. We didn't have cell phones. I would stay here after school, and I would get picked up by my dad, maybe just coming down the street from the carpet store. I don't know how he knew when to pick me up. I would just stay after, and if there was a practice going on, right? I'm in junior high, so I wasn't playing high school sports. I would just hang out with these sports teams, and I would just hang out with teachers and whatnot. I was just always around.
Yeah.
And so they helped me in so many ways form who I was, and really planted that seed about maybe that thought of going into education. And so after my years here, went up to Alma College, and not until my sophomore year in college did I decide to go into education. And then as soon as I discerned that, made that commitment, I wanted to come back here because I wanted to give back to this place that had given me so much. And I wanted to model my career after some of those longtime teacher and coaches. And so, I was very excited to come back.
We had one payphone in our lobby that if you had to call home, you had to call on the payphone. Yeah. And so, Father, we became very good at calling 1-800-COLLECT and then saying, Mom, pick me up. And hanging up. And that was how people knew when to pick us up.
Absolutely.
Practice is canceled. No, parents didn't know practice was canceled.
Nope.
And so you had to get very creative and use people lined up at that one payphone.
Yeah.
And we had to trick the collect people, collect calls like the prison.
Yeah, we had that too. We had a payphone out in the
probably
front lobby.
one payphone, right?
One payphone out in that front lobby, and kids did the same thing. That trick. But my mom and dad were always around. They gave so much to all of our Catholic schools, and for many, many years, they ran the concession stands.
Oh, did they really?
Now, this is before we actually had athletic fields here, and so they would run football concessions. That would mean that they would have to get over here about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday and start loading up their vehicle with all the candy, all the popcorn, all the drinks, and take them over to whether, we played at Lansing Everett, then Lansing Sexton, then Holt Junior High, and set up the concession stand every Friday night for a home game. And then after that, load it back up, bring it back here, and put it away.
It's like doing a farmer's market.
Yeah, right.
Stuff.
Yeah. Were there lights at the time? Because you guys play at night there, or would it have to start games at like 6 or
No,
something?
there were lights because we would have to schedule our games on opposite days than their varsity teams playing.
And so they would come get the Snickers and the Zagnuts and get them over there.
That's right.
Oh, my goodness.
So you have this newer role now as superintendent. You have a much broader view of all the Catholic school stuff going on in our diocese. What do you see as shining lights or just signs of hope for Catholic schools generally in our diocese?
We are so blessed, first and foremost, with incredible priests, pastors across the diocese. Well, first and foremost, our bishop, who has a clear vision of what it is we were made for and what it is we're to do, right? Form up the next generations of saints and scholars, and it's just all about the salvation of souls. And the beautiful thing about moving into this role of superintendent is when I was here at Lansing Catholic, I had a much smaller focus, right? Narrow focus. I knew what was happening at Lansing Catholic High School. I knew what was happening at our partner schools in the Lansing region, but very seldom did I get out to the Jackson region, the Ann Arbor region, or the Flint region. And so in this role, to be able to just travel around the diocese and see the wonderful things happening in all those schools. And our teachers are amazing across this diocese. Our principals and teachers, they're absolutely amazing, right? They're in it for the right reason. They're in it because they love the Lord and they love the kids they're teaching, and they want to help parents get their kids into heaven. Plain and simple. And I see that over and over again. Just got an email a couple hours ago that Father Gabriel Richard High School is up for an award for like the top Student for Life program
Good
in the
for
nation
them.
at Catholic schools across the nation. They're top 3, and so I voted for them. And
I hope so.
That's right. And so that's just one of many examples of great things happen across the diocese.
And what have you seen change at Lansing Catholic over the years? You've been here around for so long. What have been some of the changes you've witnessed?
It's pretty transformative to think to step back and think of the journey that this high school has been on, and it's not like anything was going bad. It's just like the people that have come along have, like I said, I think maybe last night, they've picked up that baton and they've started to run the race. And so kids haven't changed, right? But the world sure has. And the world in which we're growing up and raising these kids and teaching and forming these kids have. And so what I am seeing is I'm seeing a change in that being much more intentional about passing on our faith in a lot of different ways, right? We can no longer assume that as a school, right, that we were living in Christendom, that we just played a small part in the formation of these children, right? Because whatever TV programs they were watching, radio shows, just the ethos, general ethos in society was Christian and was aligned with our values. That's no longer the case. And what we find in a relativistic society like we have right now is simply leading by example doesn't work. Because too many people are like, well, that's good for you, Father, if you want to live your life that way, but, to each his own.
Yep.
And so, especially with young people, we need to tell them the why. We need to say, hey, why? This is why I get up every morning and read the daily scriptures, because it orders my thoughts. It orders my day in the right way. This is why I try to go to Mass, because that Eucharist is food for my soul. And that is just as important as food for my body. And we need to tell them why, right? We all are called to be those witnesses. And you heard that last night, that was the nudging that the Lord kept putting on me, that, hey, you got to tell people about this. You can't keep this private. You can't just say, well, yeah, this is working well for me and that's good. No, you have to tell people why. Because if we are called to these positions in education, then the Lord is going to gift us and give us those tools to be those public witnesses that are so needed in this day and age.
Well, and it's also probably why, Tom, you've been such a champion of this return to the Catholic intellectual tradition.
That's right.
Because if you look at all of the things that have been written in the past and the idea of the human condition and what we are going through as a society has been gone through before.
That's
the
right.
Roman Republic went through it.
That's
The
right.
Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, all the writers and philosophers, and I've been so impressed and empowered by you and the whole Office of Catholic Schools to return to these great works of writing, so we can understand what's happened in the past, so we can kind of try to push ourselves back to where we need to go.
Absolutely. Well said, Chris. And one thing that we try to get to, that the world tries to fool us on, is to think that the education is unbiased. No education is unbiased. And those that try to convince you that their education is unbiased are the most dangerous. And so we are Catholic schools. And so we absolutely want to come at every subject through the Catholic worldview, through that Catholic lens. And to do anything other than that is scandalous.
Right.
And so we are called, and so and right, the genius of Catholicism, right, the abundance of our good Father, it's there.
Yeah.
And we've, for whatever reason, and I'm not judging anybody, but we kind of pushed it aside, and we thought that we could do better, right? That word progressive, we're progressing, we could do better, and we need to return to our roots, and we need to help our young people understand that the great works of literature, right? That the great revelations in science, that math, which is really the language of our Creator, that all those are ordered to the divine when we start looking at it rightly.
What's beautiful about our Catholic tradition is that it really provides a foundation of stability throughout your whole life. And this is one aspect of Catholic education that is beginning to shine more and more brightly as the world around us is devolving into chaos on so many levels. It strikes me that this place is, for many students, simply a place of stability and peace, where they know more or less what they're going to get. They're familiar with the teachers. It's a place of refuge for many of them. And it's such a blessing to be able to provide that, to have a place of stability, because in the midst of all that chaos that comes from relativism, not only with like understanding yourself and your life and what God has for you, what a gift to be able to give them. No, this is the path. This is the journey. This is who you are. This is who God is. And we're called to live our lives according to that.
Amen. You know, we talk about those paths to sanctity. And you go right in here in St. John Paul the Great Chapel, and you'll see the 9 saint windows are examples of 9 paths. But there's infinite number of paths to sanctity, to sainthood, as there are people on this planet. But we know that the path to sanctity includes all the doctors and lawyers and engineers and homemakers and business people that we need. Those tried and true values, right? The virtues that we're trying to form our young people in, that we as adults are trying to model for them. That gives you that stability, right? We don't need to make up new words. We don't need to make up new practices. It's there. And you know, I'm so reflective on the monks and whatnot that have a rule of life. We all need a rule of life. We all need that stability, Father, that you're talking about, that is so important. Could you imagine, thinking about back when we were junior high kids and high school kids, could you imagine living in a world that said, hey, anything goes, absolutely, you can choose your identity? How frightening would that be?
Yeah.
And now I also couple that with parents, young parents. If I were a young parent and the world was telling me that I got to choose for my young child their identity, oh my gosh, talk about the pressure. I'd be like, well, this has always been the case in education from years gone by, that we're always preparing this group of students for a world that doesn't exist yet, right?
Yeah.
And so how can we, as the teachers, prepare them for this world? Well, we know, whether back in, decades ago, the critical thinking skills so that they can do all these things. Well, yeah, those are good strategies to give our young people to go out into this world to, they're going to be seeking and performing jobs that aren't even in existence yet, right? But, Father, to speak to your concept of stability, and Chris, to yours, giving them the answers, well, we can give them that foundation, right? We can give them those good tools,
yes,
right? Virtue, wisdom, right? And those tools are timeless in their ability to provide answers for a world that we don't even know exists yet.
Yes,
It's providing them a framework within which to
Yes.
understand their existence and the world itself, which is exactly what teenagers are trying to figure out, right? Who am I? What am I doing here? What is this all about? The older I get, the more I appreciate that aspect of our faith. It's like a narrative. It's a story, and you have a part to play in that story. You're not just here by chance. You're not just some random effect of evolution or something. God has placed you here in this time, and you touched on that last night.
Yeah.
That was good. And to have that understanding changes everything, because now you know, okay, I've got a mission. I've got a purpose, and God's looking out for me, and I want to make sure I do good with what I've been given.
And part of that, too, is, Father, I don't know anybody who's figured out their life when they're 18.
Yeah.
Like, one, it's crazy that we said go to college and figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life when you're 18 years old.
Right.
It's one of those things, but I think that no one's ready. 16, 17, 18, no one's ready for what they're doing. No one knows what is going to come. So all we can do is help them. All we can do is give them some stuff.
You talk about they're on a path, right? And so, and for sailors, those lighthouses were the things that help them navigate, and the stars, right? And so we want to make sure we give our young people those lighthouses, those North Stars that they can always turn to figure out their path, right? And Father, you talked about those big questions. We must never forget that our young people are always asking those questions and seeking those answers. And if we, Chris, to your point, if we don't provide the answers, where are they going to go? Someone is going to give them those answers,
Right?
and it's just a couple finger strokes on a phone to Google it and to find someone else's opinion of what your purpose is.
And the interesting there with your analogy is that the stars guide you where to go, the lighthouses tell you where not to go.
I like that.
Well, Father's a big sailor too, so we try to work everything.
Yeah, I appreciate your sailing reference.
We try to work everything into sailing in this podcast. Really, it's Cougar Chat and sailing.
Well, Tom, thanks so much for coming on the show, taking the time. It's great to hear from you. We appreciate all that you've done to serve not only Lansing Catholic, but all of the Catholic schools in our diocese. It's great to have you at the helm as our superintendent.
Oh.
Again, Father nailing the sailing stuff.
That's right. Well, Father Joe and Chris, thank you for picking up the baton and running the race that lies before you here at Lansing Catholic and in this Lansing region. We know Catholic education is critical now. It always has been, but it seems like now the way the world is in chaos that our Catholic schools are so needed and such a resource for our families. So thank you for continuing the legacy.
Oh, it's a pleasure to work here. Do we already mail, Father?
Well, you don't have to stay for this part if you don't want to, but we do have
I'm
a
staying.
mailbag at the
He
end.
wants to know what's coming.
I'm
here.
staying.
We never have mail, Father. What do we got?
Well, the
Are you making one
question this week, I may have made this one up, but kind of similar to what you had last week. The question is, what does Father Joe do in the summer?
Will you ask yourself what
Does
you're doing
anybody want to know what I do in the summer?
Is it sailing?
There
Is
will
it
be sailing
and,
involved.
and saying mass.
So
Wait,
after
Father, are you allowed to say mass on your boat?
I am. I do say mass on my boat.
Oh, wow.
Really?
My very first time out this season was on the Feast of the Annunciation, which was bumped back because of Holy Week and all that. So it was April 12th, I think. Whatever day the eclipse was on. I took my boat out, went out to Lake Michigan, and it was a calm day, so I just let the boat drift out there, and the sun started to go down, and then I celebrated mass out there. It was sweet.
Wow.
Stuff of legends right there.
Yes. So after school gets out, we've got some leadership team offsite stuff that I'll be at that week. And then I lead a mission trip to the UP, which is still open. If anybody wants to sign up, just send me an email. We'll add you to the...
Go to the Shipwreck Museum, Father.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy it.
Yes.
I have a picture with my son in front of the bell from the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yes. So that'll be that week in June. And then I chaplain Catholic Youth Summer Camp in Brighton, Michigan, which is the week that a bunch of our students go, as well as Resurrection
How do you
Kids.
sign up for that?
That is already filled.
Oh,
so
never
there's
mind.
no
We
more
will
open
not put a
spots
link
for
in
that.
the
Yeah.
post.
And then, so that brings it to the end of July. In July, I take some time off for vacation. I also do my personal retreat, and I'm going to the Eucharistic Congress in Indianapolis, which would be pretty cool. That's like a once-in-a-lifetime event, so I signed up for that.
Do you like fireworks? Do you like to shoot them off?
What does that have to do with the Congress?
The 4th. Yeah, I was thinking
Oh.
the 4th of July.
He heard July. He's not
Okay.
really
Yeah,
listening.
I
He
almost skipped
I was like,
right
are there
over that.
fireworks at the Congress?
Right.
That sounds sweet.
I heard Indiana, and I'm like, oh, come
So
on.
there are actually some places in the world where for Eucharistic processions or like special feasts, they involve fireworks in church. Like I think in the Philippines they
Is
do
that
this.
true?
I've seen videos of it on YouTube. So maybe we should start bringing this here to
If you
Lansing
could
Catholic.
put some incense into the fireworks.
Get
when
some
they shoot,
pyrotechnics involved in our next Eucharistic procession in the school building.
Let's not do that, Father.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's not do that when Tom's here.
That's right.
And then August, we kind of have to start being around the building again for meetings and prepping for the next school year. So the summer goes by pretty fast.
It does, doesn't it?
For anyone that works at a school.
Yeah.
But it'll definitely be some downtime and plenty of sailing, so I'm excited.
Good, because we need plenty of stories from when we come back
More
to the podcast
stories.
for season 2.
Yes. Well, I think that's about it, folks. That's a wrap, right? Is that what you say?
It's not what I say, but
You
you
could say
could
that.
say, Father. Yeah, that's fine.
So thanks for tuning in. Be sure to listen in next week for all the latest at Lansing Catholic. I'm Father Joe,
I'm Mr. Stolpa.
And I'm Tom Maloney.
and we'll see you next time.